Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward. This is courtroom 304, State Court of Clayton County. This is the jail arraignment calendar, and we also have an additional arraignment calendar for individuals who are not in inmates. So we'll go over the jail arraignment calendar first. When I call the calendar, if there's an attorney listed, I'll expect the attorney to speak on behalf of the defendant. If the defendant does not have an attorney, then we'll discuss that with them when their name comes up and when we can bring them up from the jail. There we go. All right. Sabrina Ann Bird. Mr. Moore.
Good morning, Your Honor. Justin Moore, Mr. Old Dennis, Beth, Ms. Bird. I believe that we are ready to enter a negotiated plea. I expect we may just have to discuss the exact details a little bit as we're going through it, but we should be ready on that.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right. Terry Wayne Hammonds. Okay, that's a petition. Mr. Hammonds was represented by Mr. Holton Dennis for the plea. So if you all will speak with him regarding the petition. Marion Rashane Malcolm Hugh, or Hugh Marion Rashane Malcolm. I'm not sure which is the first name.
Good morning, Your Honor. Chelsea Hahn with Mr. Holt Dennis. Mr. Malcolm is going to be pleading guilty to both cases.
All right. Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Hahn.
Thank you.
All right, Jose Santos Mendoza Ceja.
Your Honor, that is me as well. Mr. Mendoza Ceja will be pleading not guilty to all of his cases.
Okay, and did you need an interpreter for him or no?
No, Your Honor, I don't believe so.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Mendoza Ceja is entering a plea of not guilty. He will go back with the sheriff's office, and he has 3 cases. Is there an issue of bond in this case, or is there something else pending? I asked because I'm not sure about the criminal trespass cases, but the other case is pretty minor.
Your Honor, I don't believe so. He was just very adamant about pleading not guilty and very adamant about being fine, staying in jail. So
okay. All right, Corey Morgan.
Your Honor, Mr. Morgan is still pending a competency evaluation. I did verify that he's on their list. We've been attempting to get him situated in other housing locations, and thus far I've been unsuccessful, but we're still trying to see if we've got a place to go other than jail for him. But
okay.
We'll keep you posted on any progress. We're still waiting on them to actually complete the eval.
Okay, so Ms. Val, we'll hold off on resetting him pending a notification from Mr. Moore. At the outset, we'll probably put him on the December calendar, one of the December calendars.
Yes, I'll go ahead and put him on December, just so we won't lose him.
Yeah, so keep track of it. Thank you, ma'am. Michael Mendel Mosley. Alfonso Kraft is the attorney.
Your Honor, I actually met with Mr. Mosley yesterday.
Okay.
I believe I'd like to speak with him in a conference. I believe we're going to be taking over this case.
Okay.
Your Honor, I believe this is one where he was appointed to the public defender's office. So I think technically we have to be appointed, but he should qualify since he qualified before.
I keep forgetting that Mr. Kraft is the new public defender. I'm sorry. No, nothing against him because he's a perfectly nice guy, but whenever I see it, I always think private attorney. All right. Philip Boyd Page.
Your Honor, he's going to plead nolo for his one count of criminal trespass.
Christopher Reed Simmons.
Your Honor, Simmons has bonded out.
Jamerica Lashunte Thomas.
Your Honor, I have discussed her case. I just have to update her of a new recommendation. So I need a conference.
Okay. Justin Elijah Worsham.
Your Honor, that's going to be a NOLO plea to counts 1 and 2.
All right. That concludes the call of the first calendar. The second calendar for arraignment is Tyricia Levon Groves.
That's me, Your Honor.
Groves is present. Ms. Groves, you're charged with traffic offenses, improper lane change, no license, and I'm sorry, no tag and or expired or invalid tag and no license. Ms. Groves, did you need an attorney to assist you, or did you wish to represent yourself?
I can represent myself.
Okay, are you over 21?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All
Your
right.
Honor.
That's fine. Okay, so does the state have a recommendation for Ms. Groves?
Yes, Your Honor. For the improper lane change, a $50 fine, for the tag, $100 fine, and for the no license, a $500 fine, of which she is eligible for a NOLO plea.
All right, so Ms. Groves, the no license tag, no license offense carries with it the possibility of a suspension unless you're eligible to use a NOLO plea, and you are eligible to use a NOLO plea. It doesn't change the fines and fees, but it will change whether your license gets suspended. So you're able to enter a plea of NOLO. The fines, the $500 fine is going to be $737.50 with the surcharges. The $100 fine would be $151.50, and the $50 fine is going to be $83.25 with the surcharges. Did you wish to enter a NOLO plea today? I know it's a lot of money, so we have options. I can give you up to 60 days to pay without putting you on probation, or I can give you what's called 12 months pay only probation. And whenever you pay it, whether it's the first month, the 6th month, the 12th month, your probation will terminate. So if you pay it off in the first month or the first 3 months, as soon as you've paid everything, the probation will terminate and you don't have to report anymore. Okay. So those are your options.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
For the expired tags as well as the lane change,
Yes.
I'm perfectly fine. And whatever is no probation is what I'm going to pay.
Okay.
But the question I do have about the no license, when I spoke to the gentleman last time I was in court, but he said that there's a difference between no license and a suspended license. And
no, there is. So that's the charge versus the penalty. So the charge of driving on a suspended or revoked license or having no license, both of them carry with them for a first and 5. So if this is your first time in 5 years having this charge, both of them carry on a first and 5 a penalty of a $500 fine and a possible suspension of your license if you're not NOLO eligible.
Okay, I understand.
So the charge is different, but the penalties are essentially the same for the first time for both of those.
Okay, I understand. So yes, I'll pay the 60 days with no probation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I can pay it in full.
All right. So this is what I ask. Do you know how to use the chat function?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to take your plea in a moment, but I want you to go ahead and chat your email address to Miss Brenda Castaneda. So when you look on the chat function and you see the blue name, everyone, click on that and Brenda's name should come down, and click on her name and make sure you check it very closely so that all the numbers and letters are in the right place. And let me know when you're finished sending.
I sent.
All right, now raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. By entering a plea, you determined that you're going to represent yourself, and this is on the case 2021 CR 03807 for Teresia Groves. And this is improper lane change, no tag, or expired or invalid tag, and no license. And you're entering a plea of nolo. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Ms. Groves, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, factual basis and recommendation, Ms. Janvier.
Yes, Your Honor. On January 18th, 2021, while the officer was on patrol of Highway 85 and Lance Lane in Riverdale, Georgia, Clayton County, he did observe a blue 2017 Acura cross the right fog line and with both of her right tires, and move back to the right lane, and then cross with both of the tires again. It happened several times. At that time, the officer initiated contact and pulled Ms. Groves over. At that point, he determined that her registration was suspended. And once he checked her ID through the GCIC, it also came back suspended, Your Honor. At that time, Ms. Groves was taken into custody. The state's recommendation is a $50 fine for the improper lane change, a $100 fine for the expired tag, and a $500 fine for the no license, Your Honor.
All right. All right, so Ms. Groves, I'm going to accept the recommendation. I'll sentence you to pay a fine in the amount of $50 on count 1, on count 2, a $100 fine, and on count 3, a $500 fine. You'll have 60 days in which to pay. You've sent your email address to Ms. Brenda. Ms. Brenda is going to send you back your sentencing sheet with the information on how to pay online or by phone, or you could come into the building at 9151 Terra Boulevard and pay in person. Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. All right, Ms. Groves, you're free to go at this time. And Ms. Groves, it's a lot cheaper to keep those things in order instead of letting it lapse.
Yep. Lesson learned.
After every one of these sessions, I'm tempted to go look at my license and make sure it hasn't expired.
Yep, because I had no idea that I had a license suspension at all.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
Thank
Diamond Deshay Jackson.
Yes, Your Honor. I just need a brief conference with the state on this case.
All right, so we're going to take a couple of pleas so we can give the jail a break. That way they can send people back before we do the jail conference. Deputy, is that okay with you? Mr. Barksdale, I see you, sir. I'm going to get to you in a moment. All right, so the first case is Bird.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Val, I left the paperwork with Mr. Barksdale stuff yesterday. So can you send me the particulars on his case?
And Your Honor, I'll be helping Mr. Barksdale with his case.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Bird? Good morning. Mr. Moore has explained to me that you all have worked something out in this case.
Yes, he's not
Okay.
present.
Yeah, he's present. I'm sorry.
here.
Yeah, yes, ma'am, he is. Raise your right hand for me. I'm sorry. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Okay, we're not having a trial. That's not what we agreed upon.
No trial, ma'am. I have to swear everybody in.
Okay, it didn't make any sense to me. Okay, you swear people in for a trial or for a witness.
Okay, so when we take a plea, I have to
Okay.
swear folk in. The only reason I don't have to swear Mr. Moore in, because as an attorney, he took the oath when he entered the bar. So I don't have to swear him in every time, but I do have to swear in lay witnesses. Okay.
Okay, so this is a witness that me and him spoke over, no contest.
Right. That's all but everybody gets sworn in. So do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give will be true?
I affirm that
Okay.
any testimony that I give.
That's fine. So Ms. Bird, you're before the court on case 2022 CR 05076 for criminal trespass. You're represented by Mr. Justin Moore at the law firm of Lister Holton Dennis. And Mr. Moore, what does your client plead to the offense before the court?
Your Honor, my client is pleading no contest to the only charge on the accusation.
All right, Ms. Bird, by entering a plea of no contest, you give up the right to have a trial. You give up the right to have the state prove your case beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your case. You give up the right to present evidence and testimony, to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Okay, yeah.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On September the 11th of 2022, an officer who was assigned to the international departure for the TSA checkpoint at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Clayton County was advised that Ms. Bird came through the secure area of TSA without a boarding pass or going through the screening process and refused to leave the secure area after being advised to do so by TSA. At that time, Ms. Bird was then charged with the criminal trespass for refusing to leave the secure area as instructed. Your Honor, the state is recommending 12 months to serve 24 days. Credit for time served. The ballots would be suspended upon a do not return to Hartsfield Airport unless she has a ticket.
All right, Mr. Moore.
Your Honor, my client is entering a no contest plea. We do take issue with the circumstances of her arrest and that my client has information related to an asylum claim. She is attempting to make her way to a foreign country. Regardless of that, my client does want to take advantage of the state's plea offer and wishes to enter the no contest plea. With regard to the sentence, I certainly appreciate and agree with the state's recommendation, except I would ask the court in the state if we could make an additional provision in the sentence that would allow for not only for travel with a ticket, but also if she had some form of written authorization from a foreign government to travel on an airline on a date that is given. In other words,
So if she's given like a voucher for travel from an asylum through the asylum process, is that what you're seeking, Mr. Moore?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just asking for an alternative way for her to travel if she's able to arrange it prior to arriving to the airport, that she could show that written authorization to whomever's talking to her. And then that would also be a valid reason to be at the airport.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Janvier?
I guess my question is just the clarity on this voucher, and then if it becomes an issue of validity, and then we're back here again because she says she has it. So
this is, I get it. So Miss Bird, for the particulars of the asylum case, I don't want to get into that, but I do know that there are procedures that are recognized by foreign governments and by our government regarding asylum. If your departure follows the recognized procedures by the government of the country of Tunisia, and that is the country in which you're seeking asylum, is that correct?
Right.
Okay. If the paperwork follows and is issued by the official office of the consular office or the embassy of Tunisia, that follows their procedures for asylum and can be verified, then we'll allow that paperwork also. And by verify, I mean we can make a call to the consular office or to the embassy to ensure that this is correct paperwork. Then we'll allow that. So the court is going to accept your plea of nolo or no contest, nolo contendory or no contest, and sentence you to 12 months to serve 24 days credit for time served. Balance will be suspended as long as you do not return to Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport unless you have a ticket for travel for that day, or you have the proper asylum paperwork to allow you to travel to the country of Tunisia, where you are seeking asylum, and that paperwork is verifiable through contact with the Tunisian embassy or consular office.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, so ma'am, you can go back with the sheriff's office and they'll be processing you out today.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Janvier.
thank you.
All right, next is Malcolm.
Okay, hold on. Malcolm?
Mr. Malcolm. So you're before the court on 2022 CR 05653, Hugh Marion Rashane Malcolm, for criminal trespass. You're represented by attorney Hahn from the law firm of Lister and Holt. And my understanding is you'll be entering a plea of guilty. Raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony that you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. By entering a plea of guilty, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Factual basis and recommendation, please.
What's that?
Yes,
It's not you, babe. It's young man. It's Ms. Janvier. Go ahead.
For the case ending in 05653, on October 18th, 2022, an officer responded to a domestic disturbance at 5470 BSA 11 Riverdale Road of Clayton County. And at that time, it was a domestic disturbance. And the officer made contact with the victim, Rochelle Jackson, who stated that once she came home, her son was acting weird, and that he had, she found glass on the living room table on the floor, picture on the floor, purple box fan turned over, and the items were stomped and broken, as well as additional household items thrown about the floor. That would include the facts for that particular case. The state is.
I'm sorry. Before you make the recommendation, okay, this is the part where y'all gotta remind me. I don't remember everything. The Mr. Malcolm's second case was on the next page and I didn't see it. So Mr. Malcolm, that's case 2022 CR 05655 for disorderly conduct. And you're entering a plea of guilty to that case also is my understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Ms. Janvier. Sorry.
No, you're right. So for that case, 12 months to serve, 15 days, credit for time served, the balance to be probated, and 40 hours of community service, anger management, and no violent or harassing contact with the victim.
Okay. All right. For the next case.
For the case ending in 05655, on May 22nd, 2002, an officer responded to 5390 Riverdale Road in Clayton County in reference to an individual that was jumping in and out of cars. So he's running around the facility and jumping inside of cars, causing a disturbance. The individual was identified as Mr. Malcolm. For the disorderly conduct, the state is recommending 12 months to serve 15 days, credit for the time served. The balance would be suspended with no new violations of the law.
All right. Anything on behalf of Mr. Malcolm, Ms. Holm?
We accept the state's recommendation. We just ask that the probation be terminated upon the 40 hours community service and completion of the anger management.
Any objection to TOC?
You telling me?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So I see that there's someone here on behalf of Mr. Malcolm. Is that true? Somebody's watching. Ma'am, do you want to? I think she might be frozen. Hello?
Are you hearing me?
I hear you now.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning.
Your connection is really bad.
I'm not sure what. Oh, hold on. Are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am. So let me understand. Are you Mr. Malcolm's mom?
Yes, I am.
You're Miss Jackson?
Yes.
All right. So Miss Jackson, so I see that we have no violent or harassing contact. That means that Mr. Malcolm can come back and to the home?
Ma'am, when I made the call in the morning, my son, he was having a mental breakdown. I called because I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning because of the noise that I heard in the house. When I heard the noise in the house, I actually thought that he was cooking because normally that's what he would do in the early morning. He doesn't really sleep.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is he on a treatment plan with anyone? Does he have a doctor who follows his care?
No, he was admitted in Anchor and they were treating him, I think for schizophrenia.
Okay.
And I was looking for a mental facility for him, but no luck as yet.
How old is Mr. Malcolm?
17.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. There's an organization called NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. They have a Georgia chapter. And in fact, I had the information on my desk, but I do know that it's NAMI.org is the national chapter, and they can get you in touch with the Georgia chapter, or you can just Google Georgia NAMI, NAMI. And all of that information will come up. The reason I'm saying that is that Mr. Malcolm is 17. So you still have the ability, limited somewhat because they've kind of changed how you can interact with respect to teenagers' records, but you still have the ability to access his medical information and have some input. But once he turns 18, it's going to be harder for you to help him. So NAMI is going to give you the information that you need regarding how to be an adult who supports an adult with mental illness.
Okay, so is that a facility that will treat him?
It's not a facility, it's an organization, but they have links to information. So they can tell you like what's available, how to proceed. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Fortson. So the phone number for NAMI in Georgia, are you ready?
Hold on.
770-234-0855.
So if I take him today, I can just take him back to Anchor, because I spoke to them and
if they're able to take him, then you want to get him stabilized and you want to get him on a regular course of medication and have a doctor or a treatment team that's wanting to follow him, so that if the medication is not working or if he needs an adjustment, he'll have a history with those people. Okay. All right. So
I haven't been able to get in contact with my son since they took my son on the 18th. And when the information was emailed over to me, there was a restriction on there.
Are you talking about Anchor?
No, for the documents that was emailed to me for the charges.
Right.
I've not been able to speak to my son since they took my son on the 18th.
Okay. So he'll be released today, but he's going to have some stuff that he needs to do for probation. And so that's why I'm kind of trying to figure out if he's going to have the support he needs to do it, because he's got to do community service and he's got to do an anger management class. Do you believe that's something that your son can accomplish?
I'm not sure about the anger management, but if that's a suggestion, yes, we can, because he wasn't violent to me in any way. I just came out my bedroom and I saw the stuff on the floor. Okay. So I know he was having a meltdown. He was just laying there on the sofa. I actually called. I thought they were going to bring him to an hospital. I didn't know that they were going to arrest him.
All right.
Because I was just trying to get the proper help for him.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Mr. Malcolm in the breakout room with Mrs. Thomas, who is the probation expert. But what I'd like to do is put you in that breakout room with her also, because if you have any questions about what he needs to do, you may be able to ask her, but you will at least hear what he has to do.
Okay.
Okay. And if you feel like you need to put him in Anchor before he's able to do any of those things, just let his probation officer know that he's going into a hospital, Anchor, or any other facility that can treat him. Also, Grady has a mental health program that treats people with mental illness. So you may want to contact them also if Anchor is not available. Okay. All right. I think we lost her, but if she comes back in, I'll let her in. Mr. Malcolm. So Mr. Malcolm, I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Mrs. Thomas, and she's going to tell you about probation and what you need to do to make sure you're okay on probation. I need you to do your community service, and she's going to help you with that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, she's going to get you in touch with a probation officer, and the probation officer is going to answer questions if you need them, as long as you meet with him, okay? All right, so I'm going to put you in the breakout room with Mrs. Thomas. Just go ahead and answer her questions, and we'll get you taken care of. So the court is going to accept your plea of guilty on each case. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 15 days credit for time served. Balance will be probated, and you'll do 40 hours of community service and an anger management class, and have no violent or harassing contact with Rochelle Jackson. That's on the case ending in 05653. And also on the next case, 12 months to serve 15 days credit for time served. The balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations, and that will run concurrent with the case ending in 05653. Okay. All right. Did you have any questions for me, Mr. Malcolm?
No, no.
Okay. So when you're finished talking with Mrs. Thomas, then you can go back with the sheriff so they can let you out. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So Mrs. Jackson, I'm going to put you in the breakout room with Mr. I'm getting feedback, but I'm going to put you in the breakout room with Mrs. Thomas and Mr. Malcolm. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. As soon as the jail comes back, we'll be able to finish. But while we're doing that, I'm going to put Mr. Kamani in a breakout room with Ms. John VA so they can talk about Ms. Jackson's case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Put you in breakout room number 1. And Mr. Barksdale, Ms. Gross, did you need to speak with Mr. Barksdale?
I've already spoken with him, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So you're good, Mr. Barksdale. We'll get you in a moment, okay? So Ms. John VA and Mr. Kamani, I'm going to put you in breakout room number 1. And when everybody's back, we're ready to go. Thank you.
I'm back from the breakout room, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Thomas. Ms. Janvier, Mr. Kamani, do you all have something on Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, I need to briefly speak to Mr. Jackson.
All right, I'll put you in a breakout room with Ms. Jackson.
Your Honor, you want to finish the pleas because the next two cases are mine.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right, Mr. Morgan should be sent back. Mr. Mosley, is that your case, Mr. Kamani?
No, ma'am. No, Your Honor. You can put me in the breakout room. I'm sorry.
Who do you have?
I have Paige.
Okay, Miss Philip Page, please, Deputy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Judge Hayward?
Yes.
Just wanted to let you know on the Jackson case, it does appear that she's actively wanted. So if she does take a plea, she probably will need a bench warrant recall.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Judge.
Good morning, all. Good morning, all.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. How about you?
I'm okay. You're before the court, Mr. Page, for criminal trespass, and you're Philip Boyd Page. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes.
You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. So, Mr. Page, your attorney, Mr. Kamani, is on the call with me, okay?
Okay.
All right, Mr. Kamani, you have indicated that Mr. Page is entering a no contest or a no low plea.
That's right, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Page, by entering a plea of no low to criminal trespass, you give up the right to have a trial. You give up the right to have the state prove your case beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Mr. Page?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes.
Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On October 20th, 2022, an officer was dispatched to 4088 Magnolia Lane, Forest Park in Clayton County, Georgia, for a domestic disturbance, where it was determined that Mr. Page had walked inside of the residence without anyone's permission, and he was individually criminally trespassed the previous day, October the 19th, 2022. Mr. Page has been in custody since October 20th of 2022. So the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve 18 days. Credit for time served. The balance would be suspended with no new violations of the law, as well as a do not return and a stay away from 4088 Magnolia Lane, Forest Park, Georgia.
Okay, Mr. Kamani, who's at Magnolia Lane?
I believe Michelle Lakes.
That's a girlfriend, or who are we talking about? Is this some? But my question is aimed at whether this is someone that Mr. Page will feel that he needs to have contact with, or someone that he can completely avoid. So, Mr. Page, who's at the Magnolia Lane address?
She just a friend.
Okay, so Mr. Page, you understand that that friend or whoever lives at that address and is in charge of that address has asked that you not come back there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you're gonna meet your friend, you meet her somewhere other than the Magnolia Lane address. You hear me?
Yes, I got it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so sir, I'm going to accept your plea of nolo. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 18 days, credit for time served. The balance is suspended as long as you do not go back to 4088 Magnolia Lane, Forest Park, Clayton County, and that you have no new violations of the law. So Mr. Page, we can agree that you're not going to go back to that house, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you,
Yes,
sir. You can go back with the sheriff's office. All right, and what's your other case, Mr. Kamani?
Worsham Justin.
All right, may I have Justin Worsham, please? Mr. Worsham, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Worsham, you can put your hand down. Sir, you're before the court on 2022 CR 02612 for Justin Elijah Worsham. You're represented by Mr. Kamani with the law firm of Lister Holton Dennis, and you're charged with 1 count of public indecency and 1 count of public drunk. Mr. Kamani has indicated you're going to be entering a plea of nolo or no contest to both of those charges. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And Mr. Worsham, if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Worsham, how old are you?
I'm 44 now.
44?
And I own, yes, ma'am. But I
Okay.
have an enlarged kidney from drinking drinks when I was young.
Okay.
So I have irregular, like right now I gotta go to the bathroom, but I gotta hold it because we're in court. And I had to pee and they had the road blocked off, and the officers know me because a lot of the officers in Lovejoy, I work around it. And I explained to the officer.
Okay, so Mr. Worsham, that's why you're entering a no contest plea, because
Yes,
you know what the officer said, but you also know that what you believe happened is different from what the officer said, and you had a reason for what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's why the court is willing to accept your no contest plea, okay? And let's go ahead and finish up so you can be comfortable. So Ms. Janvier, recommendation, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On April 2nd of 2021, on McDonough Road in Lovejoy, Georgia, of Clayton County, an officer, while assisting with the Lovejoy Police motor vehicle accident, identified Mr. Worsham as he exited a vehicle. He was heavily intoxicated at that point. The officer observed he was unsteady on his feet with bloodshot, watery eyes, smelled of an alcoholic beverage. While he was speaking with Mr. Worsham, he advised that he needed to go to urinate. The officer advised that he could not urinate in public. And then Mr. Worsham began urinating on the side of the roadway. Mr. Worsham has been in custody since November the 1st. The state is recommending for count 1, 12 months to serve 8 days. Credit for time served. The balance would be probated with a $150 fine. That fine would be suspended, Your Honor. For count 2, 12 months to serve 8 days. Credit for time served, balance be probated, so be concurrent with count 1. No drugs or alcohol, a random screening and testing, and the drug and alcohol evaluation and follow-up treatment.
I agree with everything except the probation. The reason is, this is not a case where Mr. Worsham was hurting somebody else. Mr. Worsham, I think we understand, is an alcoholic. I'm willing to do suspend, balance suspended, and advise Mr. Worsham that he can go to AA classes, but I just don't know that he's, Mr. Worsham, you got a job?
Yes, ma'am. And I have already went to anger management, alcohol and drug classes. When I got released, the judge sent me to go to all that, but I wasn't drinking. I had took a Flexeril for my sciatica because I got sciatica in the back. And so I had took a Flexeril for that. And that's why he thought I was heavily intoxicated, but I do not drink because I have acid reflux real bad. So he thought I was drunk, but I wasn't. I had took a muscle relaxant and I was going to take my worker home. And I really had to go to the bathroom. And then I explained to him what the situation was and told him they know me in Lovejoy.
All right, so Ms. John VA, if you want to, if y'all want to go non-negotiated, fine, but I'll do 12 months. I mean, 12 months, 8 days, credit for time served, balance suspended.
I don't have any objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, so, sir, to run concurrent 12 months to serve 8 days, credit for time served, balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. All right, so you can go back with the sheriff's office. All right, and Mr. Kamani, those are all your cases?
Yes, Your Honor. I do have one more, but I need to speak to Miss Thomas.
Okay.
In the jail. And
okay, and the only case we have left, I guess, we have Mosley, which Miss Hahn needs to speak with, and then Barksdale will do that once you all are in the breakout room, and Hammonds, which is a petition. So, and you said you need to speak with this for Jackson. What did you need for Jackson, Mr. Muhammad?
I need to have a breakout room with her.
Okay, so, all right. Who has Hammonds?
Your Honor, we can just we haven't spoken. We can just speak to her.
Okay, so that's a breakout room. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna put Mr. Kamani in a breakout room with this with Miss Jackson. Breakout room number 3. And Mr. Barksdale, why do you have 2 devices on, sir? And
I'm sorry about that. I was using my laptop and my phone is the only way I could use for audio.
Okay, well, you sound fine on whatever you're on right now.
Yes,
I can see you and hear you.
Yeah, this is my phone.
Okay, all right. So, Ms. Gross, are you ready on Barksdale?
I am, Your Honor.
All right. And I was gonna put Miss Hahn in the jail to speak with Thomas, is it, or Mosley? But I know you kind of want to be in there with her, or do you?
I think she can handle it, Your Honor, and she can always text me.
All right, then we're working. All right. So I'm gonna set up the breakout room with the jail, so Ms. Hahn can be working on that. Oh man, I haven't had a this many like defense attorneys all at once in a while.
Your Honor, if it's okay, I'll go with her too.
All right, so Mr. Moore and Ms. Hahn will be in breakout room number 4 with the jail. I'm gonna move the jail from.
Thank you.
Ms. Thomas?
All righty, and Ms. Barksdale. Mr. Barksdale and Ms. Gross and the state. Okay. All right, so I don't have Barksdale. Ms. Val, did you send that to me? I'm looking.
No, he just was a walk on. Do you want his case number? I'll send it to you.
Yeah, case number and I guess charges.
Yeah, he's trying to get his bond modified as to when he wants to turn himself in for weekends or weekdays. He was weekdays, now he want to do weekends.
All right, Ms. Gross, okay, go ahead and tell me what I'm looking at and what we're trying to do.
Yes, ma'am. It's not really a bond modification. It's a sentence modification. He entered a plea on October 24th. The sentence was 12 months suspended. He was supposed to have 14 consecutive weekends starting 10/31. At the time he entered the plea, his job was such that he was working on the weekends and he was off 2 days during the week. And so that's why his sentence was structured that way. He has now gotten a new job opportunity, but he'll need to work during the week and be off on the weekend. So he's just asking that his weekends be modified to be Friday night through Sunday night instead of the days that it's set for during the week.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Does the state have an objection?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so I just need the case number so Miss Brenda can pull up that sentence.
Your Honor, it's 2019 CR 10420. And it was a criminal trespass.
So I have 2019 CR 10420.
That's correct.
All right, Miss Brenda, do you need me to send that to you, or do you need anything else?
I have it, Judge. I just need when he's going to start that weekend, if it's going to be this one, and if it's 13 days that 13 weekends he has remaining.
Okay.
Mr. how many weekends have you already served? Have you just done one, or have you done two?
I've only done one. So if I go this weekend, it'd still be like I never missed a week. It'd be the same week.
Okay, that works. So you're ready to do it this Friday?
Yes.
Okay, so Miss Brenda, it'll be 13 weekends left, starting Friday at 6 p.m. and then out on Sunday at 6 p.m.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
All right, thanks. Y'all know I always got to make stuff easy for Miss Brenda because, she keeps up with my foolishness.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Barksdale. Okay, so Mr. Barksdale, knock this out so you can be done with this and go on with your new career opportunity, sir.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. You good to go.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I have an announcement for Jackson.
Yes.
Ma'am. So count 1, she's going to plead nolo.
Okay.
Count 2, she's going to plead guilty.
Okay.
Count 3 is going to be no pros. And for count 4, she's going to plead nolo.
Okay. All right, Miss Jackson, may I see you, please? All right, great. Miss Rochelle Jackson, you're free to go at this time. I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't want to hold you up from what you're doing, but your son should be released today, okay?
Do you know what time I can come pick him up?
I'm not sure what time they do releases. Does anybody have a clue? It's going to be sometime this afternoon. I don't think it happens immediately.
Your Honor, it usually takes a while to process out, but it varies. Like sometimes it's early afternoon, sometimes it's late into the evening. So she might want to just call and see if she can get some idea from the jail.
Yeah, you can call the sheriff's office, the jail division, and ask that you can tell them, let me go ahead and give you his case number. So then that might help you also. I don't have his LE number, but I can give you his case number. It's 2022. Oh, I got his LE number. This is even better. Take his LE number. His LE number is 223-8241. That's how they'll know him at the jail, okay?
Okay. So, question, I don't really know a lot about these stuff. Will these charges affect him in the future?
I mean, these are pretty minor. It will be on his criminal record, but if my understanding is he has entered a, let's see. Yeah, he's entered a plea of guilty, so it will be on his criminal record, but you can, at this point, you can explain that he might have been having some health challenges at the time. That makes sense for what he's charged with.
Okay, so even though he has the health challenges, that will never be removed?
Not at this time.
Okay.
All right. So, but yeah, you got his LE number, so you should be able to find out when he's likely to be released.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So Ms. Diamond Jackson, may I see you, please? Okay, raise your right hand for me, ma'am. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. So Ms. Jackson, you're before the court on Diamond Deshae Jackson, 2020 CR 00322. One count of following too closely. Count 2 is no insurance. Count 3 is invalid registration, and count 4 is no tag or expired or invalid tag. And you're entering a plea of nolo to count 1. Count 2 is guilty. Count 3 will be no pros, and count 4 is nolo. By entering these pleas, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On November 27th, 2019, an officer was dispatched to Garden Walk Boulevard for an accident in Clayton County, Georgia. At that time, he made contact with driver 1, who was identified as Ms. Jackson, where Ms. Jackson advised that she collided with the rear end of driver number 2. She admitted that she was at fault and then was cited for following too closely. Additionally, it was determined that Ms. Jackson did not have insurance and her registration was suspended. That would include the facts. The state is recommending a $50 fine for the following too closely. For the no insurance, it's the 3rd and 5. The fine is $600 and 12-month probation. For the invalid registration, that is with the state would motion to no pros. And for the tag, a $100 fine suspended, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Kamani?
Your Honor, she just she'll require 12 months to be on 12 months probation to pay the fine, pay only probation.
Okay. So Ms. Jackson, are you working?
No, not right now.
Okay. So Ms. Jackson, a 3rd in life or 3rd and 5 no insurance. Ma'am, it's imperative that you have insurance when you're driving a vehicle. Everybody in Atlanta essentially needs a car because Atlanta's so spread out, it's hard to get from place to place on public transportation. There are people who do, but especially if you got kids, you need a car. But ma'am, you can't go without insurance because this is what happens. It costs you more to not have it than it does to have it. And people are like, oh, I can't afford insurance. You can't afford not to have insurance. We clear?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just saying, I don't know your situation, but I'm just saying you have to prioritize those things that are gonna benefit you in the long run. You got to prioritize getting insurance and keeping insurance on your car if you're going to use a car. Otherwise, don't drive because these fines and fees only go up. And if you hit somebody and you don't have insurance, then it gets really bad. You know, and they're injured or God forbid killed, because I've seen that scenario. It's not good. So I'm going to accept your plea of nolo to count 1, and that's a $50 fine. It's going to be $83.25 with the surcharges. Count 2 is a $600 fine. I am not sure. It's going to be more like $800 because I don't know the surcharges on that one, but it's going to be closer to $800 for you. And then count 3 is a no pros, and count 4 is a nolo. Plea, I'll accept that, and the $100 fine is going to be suspended as long as you pay the other fines and fees. Now, I'll sentence you on count 2 to 12 months pay only probation. Count 1 will run concurrent with count 2, and count 4 will run concurrent with count 2. All right. Did you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to put you in a breakout room with Mrs. Thomas, and she's going to explain the probation. It's probably better if you break it up into little chunks and you pay something at every report or every periodically, so that you're not overwhelmed and you wait, but as soon as you've paid all of the fines and fees, your probation will terminate. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Ms. Jackson, I'm going to put you in a breakout room number 6 with Mrs. Thomas. And once you're finished speaking with her, you don't have to come back to the main room. You can go ahead and get started on doing whatever it is she's assigned you to do. Okay.
Your Honor, she has a bench warrant, and that may
Oh,
be.
yeah. Ms. Jackson, I'm gonna ask that they send over a bench warrant set aside for you. And once I get that, I'll sign it so that we can recall the bench warrant that was issued in your case. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Take care, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. And Mr. Kamani, did you need to be added to the breakout room for the jail?
Yes, Your Honor, please.
Okay. All right. And as soon as Mr. Kamani and the rest of the attorneys come back from the breakout room with the jail, we will move forward.
Wait,
All
so
right,
you
Ms.
said
Jackson.
I'm good? I forgot.
No,
I
ma'am,
thought you
Ms.
were sending me
Jackson.
to a room.
I am. Check,
Okay.
touch your screen. Can you see it? It should say join breakout room.
It did last time. I don't see nothing this time.
Okay, because usually it'll hold on a second. Don't do anything right now, okay? Don't do anything until I tell you, even if something pops up on your screen.
Okay.
All right. Miss Thomas, is in room. Let's see, breakout 5. Put you back in breakout. Okay, so you're gonna pop up breakout room number 6 is what you're looking for, okay?
Okay.
When you see breakout room number 6. You see it?
Something popped up at the top real fast that said you're moving me to room 6, but I couldn't press anything.
Okay, click on that. Click on that again. Click on your screen.
Mm-hmm.
And nowhere does it say join?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm not sure why. I'm gonna move you to breakout room number 5, okay?
Okay.
Just go into that room.
It said you moved me to number 5, but it didn't do anything.
Okay, there's nothing that says join at all.
Mm-mm. I just see the leave button for here.
Did you see a join button when you went into the breakout room with Mr. Kamani?
Yes, it was big and blue.
Oh man, not sure what is going on. Oh boy. Okay, let me try this again. I'm gonna put you. Try one more time.
Okay.
It's coming up. There it is. Okay. Whew, thankfully. All right. We'll be back. Yes, ma'am.
Can I get a break? Yes, Your Honor. May I have a breakout room with Ms. Jean-Pierre, if that's possible?
Yes, Ms. Javier is in breakout room number 1. I'm going to move you to breakout room number 1.
Thank you.
Mhm. You need to be moved back into that room, Ms. Hahn?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, one moment.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Can you please put me in a breakout room with Ms. Janvier? Very briefly.
One moment. All right.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
can you put me back with the jail, please?
Sure.
Your Honor and Ms. Janvier, I have an announcement for you on Mosley.
Go ahead, Mr. Moore.
Your Honor, Mr. Mosley is currently in custody on a felony case. He's discussed with us that he has a private attorney. He's not opposed to, I'm sorry, on that case, not this case. He's got a private attorney over there. I think he just wanted to talk with that attorney about what's going to happen over there before he resolved this case so that he could be sure. Would you reset this a week so that he can have that conversation and then we can do something on that basis?
Sure, that sounds reasonable. Ms. Val, 1 week continuance on Mosley.
Thank you.
All righty,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you. Okay, and I think that the remaining cases are Thomas and Hammond. And we've completed Barksdale. So I think Hammond and Thomas are our last two cases.
Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
we've completed all our cases except for one. I just wanted to speak to Mr. Austin. Can I be put in a breakout room with Mr. Darius Austin?
Okay. Mr. Austin, I'm gonna put you in Mr. Kamani in breakout room number 2.
Copy on.
All right, and when they come back, we'll be ready to finish.
Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Kamani?
Can you please put me in the breakout room with the jail again?
Okay.
Your Honor, we have announcements.
Go ahead, Mr. Kamani.
For Hammonds,
Yes,
he's going to stipulate and agree to the technicals.
okay.
For Thomas, Jamaica,
Yes,
she's going to plead guilty to count 1 and count 2 and 3 will merge.
all right. All right, let's do Mr. Hammonds. Is that Mr. Hammonds who's up?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, let me find the petition. All right, Mr. Hammonds, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Hammonds, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Terry Wayne Hammonds. I'll give feedback. 2018 CR 09434. You were before this court for reckless conduct, weapons carrying, concealed, carrying a weapon or a long gun at a commercial airport, reckless conduct, carrying a weapon or concealed. And so it was 2 counts of reckless conduct, 2 counts of carrying a concealed weapon and carrying a weapon or a long gun at a commercial airport. This was on the 8th day of March, 2022. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation with conditions, and you have 5 months and 17 days remaining. The sentence was told because we lost track of you. So you were supposed to report, but you failed to report on April 15th, April 29th, May 15th, June 15th, July 15th, July 29th, and August 8th, 2022. And in person within 10 days of August 8th, 2022. You last reported by phone on May 2nd of 2022. You failed to show proof of completing a gun safety course, and you failed to pay. You're represented by Mr. Kamani. Mr. Kamani, it is my understanding that your client wishes to enter a stipulation to the factual basis, the technicals, and agree to the recommendations of the probation office. Is that correct?
That's right, Your Honor.
And Mr. Austin, what is the probation office recommend in this case?
Probation, the recommendation from probation is 10 days to serve credit for that time he's already served. He has stated that he's completed the gun safety course and he's able to pay, and we're requesting that he have that brought into us by November 14th, and we'll close the case at that point.
All right, Mr. Kamani.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Hammonds, what happened?
I was actually, there's an ongoing investigation with the Special Victims Unit in Atlanta at Fulton County that I had to do several interviews with, not by me, but I had to move and change numbers due to that. I was also hospitalized for over 20 days. I broke my rib actually moving, and which developed pneumonia. My entire left lung collapsed. So I was at Emory Midtown for 23 days. I had to have 2 surgeries, and it just, it just got to where I really didn't know how to fix it. So, I did not report. I am guilty of that.
Okay, so let me tell you how to fix it.
Yes, ma'am.
Report. Tell us what is going on. So from now on, if you're ever hopefully you won't ever be in a situation like this again. But I tell people the quickest way to get rearrested is to not report. We understand if you have a medical emergency or an issue like that, but the best way is to report, because I promise you, the probation officers will go to bat and they will come to me and say, look, Judge, he's coming to me, he's telling me what's going on, he's having a hard time. I've received documentation from the hospital, and that is a lot better than you just being out there on your own, trying to figure it out, scared to come and tell us what's going on.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I've learned my lesson for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. So I am going to accept the recommendation, which is 10 days revoked credit since the date of lockup. You'll return to probation and come into compliance with payment and proof by November, what was that date? 14th?
November 14th, Your Honor.
Okay. So he's to be released today?
Yes, Your Honor, he's already
That's
served.
correct. Yes.
All right. All right, yeah. With most things in life, Mr. Hammond, if you face them, it's a lot better than if you avoid them, okay?
Yes, ma'am, I hear you on that. Thank you.
All right. All right, so Mr. Hammond shall have 10 days revoked, shall have credit for time served. Defendant shall return to probation and show proof of compliance with class and payment by November 14th, 2022. Defendant shall be released back to probation today. All right. You can go back with the sheriff's office, Mr. Hammond. I'm gonna send this paperwork over right away.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you,
take care,
Your
sir. Okay, and Thomas,
Bring her back out.
are we ready on Thomas?
Yes, Your Honor, we are ready to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Get away from my window.
All right, Miss Thomas, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Miss Jamerica Lashante Thomas, you're before the court, 2021 CR 07887 for count 1 battery family violence, count 2 battery, count 3 simple battery. Mr. Kamani, your attorney has indicated you're entering a plea of guilty to count 1. Counts 2 and 3 will merge. By doing so, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On February 17th, 2021, an officer was dispatched to 1409 Rock Cut Road, G8 in Forest Park, Georgia of Clayton County for a domestic disturbance where he made contact with Ms. Thomas as well as the victim. In speaking with the victim, he determined that Ms. Thomas was attempting to do a TikTok challenge where she was using baby powder and was going to slap the defendant. Ms. Thomas did, I guess later that evening, She did while in bed, she did start slapping the defendant and choking him. Excuse me, the victim started slapping the victim and choking him. Additionally, she grabbed a tweezer and stabbed him in his left leg. The victim said that he did ask Ms. Thomas to leave the apartment. At that time, she was taken into custody. Ms. Thomas has been in custody since October 19th, 2022. And for that, the state is recommending a sentence of 12 months to serve 45 days. The balance will be suspended pending no new violations of the law, Your Honor.
Okay, who was the alleged victim in this case?
The victim, Lorenzo Middlebrooks.
And is this a friend, boyfriend, brother?
Your Honor, he was her boyfriend at that time.
Okay. There's no stay away or no violent or harassing or. Okay, I'm confused. All right, let me ask the questions I really want to ask. Miss Thomas, how old are you, ma'am?
27.
And which TikTok challenge is where you stab somebody with the tweezers?
There was no TikTok challenge where you stab anyone. Of course, he lied to clear his name. I'm pleading guilty on the charges due to the fact that I have a son that's 2 years old. I'm also a head trauma patient. I got shot this year in my face on my left side towards my temple this year, and I still have medical appointments that I have to attend to. Yeah, so I can't really answer your questions as thorough as you need me to, because most of what he said was a lie. But there was a TikTok challenge that I did ask him that he wanted to do, where you write down a list of questions. If your spouse gets the question wrong, you get a chance to slap them in the face with the baby powder. That was the challenge.
Okay, so all right, just let me say this. Are you planning on still being with Mr. Middlebrooks?
I've never seen him since we both got locked up. I have nothing to do with him. He has nothing to do with me, because I had nothing to do with him.
Your spouse. So are you and Mr. Middlebrooks married, engaged?
No, that was the TikTok challenge. Just, couples, not necessarily married couples, but we were just dating for the time being.
Is he the father of your child?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do a no contact order on this Mr. Middlebrooks, so that, ma'am, you're not to have any contact with Mr. Lorenzo Middlebrooks. And since y'all ain't parents of the same child, that's not a good, good thing. So no contact. Now this is the second thing.
Yeah.
No, people play on these TikTok challenges and stuff, but no challenge that includes you smacking somebody, because people can take that the wrong way. Everybody can agree until that hit happens. It's just like when you're a kid in school, everybody playing, hit the next man until that hit comes. And then all of a sudden somebody gets mad and it's a whole different story. It is never a good idea for somebody to hit somebody else, especially smacking somebody in the face, because it's just like with kids. It don't turn out the way you think it's going to turn out. All these TikTok challenges and foolishness things to do. Somebody took some TikTok challenge, the Kia challenge, where you steal a car. Well, 5 people stole the car and 4 of them ended up dead from a car accident. And then the 5th one is in the hospital, and one of them was a mother. So she's dead now. Her child don't have her. What I'm saying is, unfortunately, people have the internet now, and I'm old enough to where I remember life before the internet, when people actually interacted with each other instead of trying to follow somebody the world away on some foolishness. But all this TikToking and stuff like that, all that does is make money for somebody else while you get laughed at, or you get this whole thing. You go to smacking somebody. My theory is, you smack somebody, expect to be smacked back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you too old for this TikToking. You got a child to worry about. Worry about your health and your child, not so much of the TikTok. I watch them to see who's cooking what, because I like food. Yeah. But other than that, I'm not about to smack nobody. I'm not about to drink a bunch of cinnamon or or steal a key or none of that. Okay. All right. So, ma'am, I'm going to accept your
Yes,
plea.
ma'am.
I'll send you the 45 days balance. Did she serve this time?
Your Honor, she's been in custody since October 19th, so she hasn't completed it. So credit from the date of lockup.
Credit since date of lockup, and balance suspended as long as you have no contact with Lorenzo Middlebrooks, and counts 2 and 3 will merge with count 1. Okay. And I wish you well on getting your health back completely. All right, ma'am. Where'd the jail go? Hello. Hello.
Yes, Your Honor, I can hear you.
I think you just
Okay.
lost.
Okay, so we lost the jail, but I think I had pronounced sentence by the time we did. All right, do we have anything else at this time?
Nothing on this calendar, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, y'all take care. And I will see you tomorrow for arraignment a day early. So drink, hydrate, get your rest. Okay, we're gonna roll.